Today we're going to dive into some valuable insights on the effects of TV and screen time on the development of toddlers and preschoolers. As parents, we want to give our kids the best possible start to life, and we dream of having a child who can entertain themselves for hours and grant us as much needed breaks as we can achieve. However, we know the first 2 to 3 years of life are crucial for shaping young brains, and if you want your child to reach their educational potential, to be able to listen and retain what they learn, and even spend less time stressing about schoolwork, then here's a piece of advice. I don't often offer advice, but if I could have my way, parents of children for the first 2 to 3 years of life would resist turning on the TV. I know it's easier than you think, but once you introduce TV, it really gets tougher. Now, don't get me wrong, screens can be a lifesaver. A new baby in the house, a quick moment of solitude, or a long plane ride. There are instances where a little screen time might be worthwhile, but here's the twist. If you regularly use TV as a babysitter, you're actually hindering your child's ability to self-entertain. Research is starting to paint a picture that young children's brains are profoundly affected by screen exposure. And more research is showing that TV is associated with changes in brain development, leading to shorter attention spans, reduced impulse control, and even heightened aggression. So the guidelines from the Australian Institute of Family Studies recommend that kids under the age of 2 avoid TV altogether, and kids between 2 and 5 be limited to no more than 1 hour of screen time a day. Nonetheless, most Aussie toddlers and preschoolers on average watch over twice the recommended amount of television daily. And so parents often will say, well, why is that a problem? Really, why is it a problem? Well, for kids under 5, there's strong evidence that screen time has negative effects on weight, motor and cognitive development, and social and psychological well-being. Excessive screen time can undermine a child's ability to entertain themselves and engage with the physical world, essential for their growth. Opting instead for other activities like imaginative play, building with blocks, and social interactions helps kids develop very vital skills. Screen time engages the same brain processes as addictive habits, and when stimulated with technology, our brains produce the feel-good chemical dopamine, much like any other addictive substance or activity like alcohol or gambling and cigarettes. So not only this, but the developing brain of a child lacks the fully mature self-control mechanism to help them curb obsessive behaviours. So without these resources, we might be setting our kids up for future challenges in managing their screen time and navigating addictive processes. Research indicates that kids exposed to excessive TV and computer games are more likely to exhibit ADHD-type symptoms, and by that I mean some poor regulation or shorter attention spans and even hyperactivity. And what about violence in the media? Well, research suggests that exposure to violent programming can make kids more aggressive and less sensitive to the suffering of others. And since it's all a fairly new area of research, there's some contradictory evidence out there about the effects of excessive screen time. However, the overall message is clear that excessive screen time, especially for younger kids, is likely to lead to unhealthy outcomes both in the near future and as they grow up. So to protect our kids from these effects, we can watch programs together. I advise that when you're dealing with preschoolers, set screen time limits, keep screens out of bedrooms, explain real life consequences of violence, and just generally avoid violent shows. So what do we do instead of relying on screens? Well, most toddlers and preschoolers who aren't accustomed to TV and computers are skilled at keeping themselves occupied. For these kids who need some more guidance, there's audio books and other creative, great ideas out there that you might want to use. It's really important to keep in mind that kids will struggle to occupy themselves if they haven't had their fill of parent time. So if they're complaining of being bored and haven't spent any time with you that day, it's likely their emotional bank is running on empty. On the other hand, if you've spent lots of quality time together, then they may just need some help transitioning to the next activity. And remember, it's okay for kids to experience boredom, and it fosters their creativity and their self-regulation. Gradually teach them to entertain themselves. Once they grasp this skill, they'll cherish their independent playtime. In the end, fostering healthy, balanced time between screen time and other activities can set your child on a path towards a brighter and well-rounded future. So as you navigate the world of parenting, remember these insights and make some informed choice that will shape your child's development in the best possible way.